Hello guys, in this video I present the High Priestess card. Fortunately, I have kept a speed drawing of the original vector illustration. Let's see the character drawing process here. I created this drawing a few years ago. I just wanted to represent a female subject with a dreamy atmosphere, an elf or a fairy with a necklace with a dream catcher. The title of the illustration is Portrait of a Fairy called Maya. Speaking of the meaning of the card, I would like to explore a fundamental aspect with you, and also ask you for an opinion, your thoughts on this specific card. Many texts mention it as the boundary between the conscious and the unconscious. It therefore represents the subconscious. It is like a membrane between the bright, known part and the shadowed part, not known. According to the law of attraction, it is precisely this element that projects reality around us. In my opinion, but I also ask yours, this card acts in combination with the Hierophant card. It establishes a bridge, a polarity between these two psychic principles, from which the projection of reality arises. As for the Hierophant, I will probably do an additional video to go in depth on reading this card. The High Priestess is therefore a vibration, as if it were a field, a sea of energy that constantly vibrates, of which we have no rational control with conscious thought. It has to do with the subconscious reaction of our psychophysical structure, which are stimulated by the memory of the past, or the projection of the future. For this reason, in a path of self-awareness, self-observation, it is necessary to tame the reactions. They can transform from automatic to regulated by our attention. I remember a path of inner alchemy that I did years ago, where I was given a simple exercise. Every time I changed my clothes during the day, I had to pay attention to myself, remember me, in that moment, in that specific act. This repeated exercise, which can be applied in different ways, for example, every time I pass from one room to another, I remember myself. It serves to tame the subconscious, the High Priestess in this case. In this way, we pass from autopilot mode to a conscious pilot, aware of himself. Above all, the Indian practice of yoga speaks of this process and calls it development of the witness. The witness is that part of consciousness which is beyond rational thought, but is able to observe it. When you meditate, you watch the thoughts come and go, as if they were clouds in a sky. In this way, we no longer identify with our thoughts. We see them as transitory objects. The witness is the subject of consciousness. This practice, considering the High Priestess as a boundary, a filter, allows for the cleaning of the subconscious filter. The subject is no longer influenced by automatic mechanisms, considered as debris in the filter. He cleans it with the practice of self-observation. For example, every time a certain person speaks to us, on which we project a certain meaning, for example of authority, we tend to have an automatic energy reaction, which can be conflicting, passive, and therefore negative, counterproductive. If we observe ourselves at that specific moment, we can change our energy field, represented by the High Priestess, simply by bringing the focus to ourselves. The word focus is of Latin origin, and it really means fire. Fire is an element that transforms things. By bringing focus and attention to our subconscious automatic mechanisms, we transform them. So, the next time we meet that person or that situation, we will be more in control of ourselves, of our psyche. This passage is well described in the fairy tale Pinocchio, where the wooden puppet represents the psychophysical structure of most of humanity, which reacts to the environment with automatic reactions. The transformation into a real man takes place after several rites of passage, one of which is self-observation. Changing the subject, but still remaining on the High Priestess card, let's see now how it can be read regarding what has been said. What I am presenting is a personal interpretation, and I am totally open to your opinion. If it appears in the middle of 3 cards, I usually tend to see it as a border, the membrane between the unconscious part, represented by the first card, and the conscious part, which is expressed in reality, represented by the third and last card. In this sense, the High Priestess Major Arcana keeps its meaning of secrecy and hidden things. The psychic energy of the subject is therefore represented by what is in his unconscious on one side, and on the other, what he expresses in his conscious part. I composed an example. In this case, in the first card, the unconscious part, there is the star, a great hope, a connection with the faith. In the last card, the conscious part, there is the Ace of Wands, the will to express and create the content belonging to the first card, the star. In this case, the High Priestess indicates that the subconscious membrane is free from conflict. What is hidden from the rational part is able to manifest itself clearly in the rational part of the mind. In other words, the filter is clean. But let's try to see a second hypothesis. In this case, we have as the first card a card that talks about conflicts and challenges, the Five of Wands, and it is in the unconscious or uncontrolled part. This energy, if not examined with self-observation, leads to the visible result in the third card, the Hanged Man. The energy is still. It leads to stagnation. Also, in this case, the High Priestess represents the border, the filter, but it speaks of an energy that does not flow due to unconscious, unresolved, conflicting contents. This is an example of reading in the set of possible reading options. In the case the High Priestess presents itself on the sides and not centrally, as in this case, the reading could indicate a content hidden from the eyes of the rational mind, or simply not said, not revealed externally. In this case, with the Ace of Pentacles and the Seven of Pentacles, it could be a business start or the beginning of a material project on which you have to commit. The High Priestess is also a card that speaks of intuition. It is certainly one of its most important meanings, but in this video I wanted to give a more in-depth interpretation, and again, I am open to your opinion. Thank you for coming this far with me, and I am waiting for you for the next video. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel to receive more content like this and more. Thank you guys. Bye.